All right, welcome back, everybody. Sorry about this morning. We will get started here in about a minute or two. I'm just going to get a couple extra things together, ready to go. So we'll get started in about 2 minutes. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I messed with my mic, so can I get a thumbs up? Can you guys hear me very well? Good. All right. I messed with my mic, so we get a little less feedback in the room. So hopefully that helps. I can hear myself less, so it's a little kind of weird feeling for me right now, so I apologize. So I'm going to go ahead and share this tab. And picking up from where we left off now, is there any questions about anything in Blocksi that is not the video conferencing tool that I need to get to before we go over to the video conferencing?
You have a question that says, can I have a link?
Okay. Feel free to type it into the chat if you think about it.
So you don't need the link.
But I'm going to go ahead and hop into my classroom here. So it's a sign. We're just not meant to do this today, I guess. Let me hop back in there. Everything completely shut down on my PC just then, so that was fun. Can you still see my screen with Blocksi on there? Good. All right. Not anymore. All right. So let me hop back into my classroom that I was in earlier, and I have my kids still logged in. And so the class is now over, though, so I'm going to have to start it one more time. But as I hop in there, I can see right away what they're doing. Now, I know I was doing this earlier, and it never actually got to do it. So I'm going to click the block list right there. And, hey, it actually works this time. So it's going to tell me that ESPN was blocked. And if I go back up into my blocked URLs, there it is. So, and I can always remove that blocking and let that student go back in there. And in fact, as soon as I unclick that, it'll let the kid open it up one more time. So it's not a long-term, I should say, it doesn't have to be a long-term thing. It could just be, hey, stop what you're doing on there, and then you can just open it back up later. But that's not why you guys are here today, or this afternoon. We're going to be talking about the conferencing tool. So a couple things about the conferencing tool that I was about to say before I was kicked off here, and I had my tabs open so that I could say this. Here we go. Nope. Okay, so a couple issues from Blocksi that have come up. There's been some questions that have asked from people who have started breakout rooms and whatnot, that the kids aren't actually being added to the breakout room, or they're being removed from the breakout room, and then they're going, well, okay, now that I'm out of the breakout room, how do I get back into the breakout room? And so we reached out to Blocksi support. We're going to actually get a full training from Blocksi later on some of these things, but with the amount of teachers in the district, not in the district, excuse me, districts that have joined Blocksi, we're basically on the waiting list of quite a few to get that extra training. So, but anyways, so what we got back from support was just saying that if they do get disconnected from the breakout room, you can get them back in by going back to the teacher dashboard, the main dashboard, and clicking the exclude and include button 2 times. So basically exclude them from everything and then re-include them, and it should bring up the conference page. And so if it doesn't do it the first time and you don't see the conference page pull up on their screen, you might have to turn it back off and then turn it back on one more time. They're saying the cause of this could be bandwidth related on the student side. I don't know about that, because the couple times that it's happened on our districts whenever we weren't having issues with our bandwidth on our side. So, but anyways, that's the official stance of Blocksi, basically to come over here and exclude them and re-include them, and it should open up that conference one more time. I haven't been able to, except for the very first time that I tried the conferencing tool, it didn't pop up for the kids. But since then, it's worked every single time for me. So it's hard for me to check to see if that's going to work out whenever I never actually have the issue come up. So anyways, let's go into the conferencing. There's there's a few different ways that you can do conferencing. And so the first way is doing a conference with your entire class at the same time. And I don't think this is going to be a replacement for Google Meet in any way. I think this is more of a on the fly, you need to make an announcement to your students type thing. That you know, they've left the Google Meet. It would be really challenging to get them to all come back because maybe you forgot to mention something important or something like that. I think the best thing for this is just to go, okay, instead of getting everyone inside that Google Meet, I'm just going to pull a conference really quick. And so whenever you click on the conference for the entire classroom, the first thing you always want to make sure that you check is to enable conference recording. But you have 2 options, the dominant speaker layout and the tile layout. The dominant speaker layout is going to put a video on the bottom right of your screen as well as the bottom right of their screen. And the tile layout is going to put them into like a Google Meet. Okay, so we'll look at the dominant layout, speaker layout first. So whenever I click that, you can barely see it. You can barely see it on the bottom of the screen here. Well, that's in the way. But as I'm looking at the student PCs in front of me, I can, my face is on their screen. And if I were to unmute myself without it completely blowing up because I've got too many microphones all in one spot, they would be able to hear what I'm saying. Okay, so let me see if I can turn this around. That's really the only way of doing it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but in the bottom right hand corner, there we go. We can see right over here is my is me holding up the Chromebook. So this is the way I envision using this particular part of the conferencing is I need to tell these kids something. I forgot to mention it during the Google Meet. It's very important. So I'm going to start a conference. I'm going to push my face out there and just say, hey, everyone, either go back into the Meet, I forgot something, or here's the little announcement that I forgot to mention to you. And I think that's probably the best way of doing it. Now, if you can see my screen, I actually have my video. This is the video coming from my computer right here. And let's get rid of that. But I also can see the different students also. So let me turn this this student Chromebook so you can get the different angles here. So this Cave Student 5, this is me being able to conference with just that student. Now, but there's other, I shouldn't say it like that. This is me being able to view what that student's camera is. So I can see them, but none of the other students can see them. Okay, I can change this to Cave Student 2 and see what they're seeing. They have to enable their camera, okay, for it to work. I can't turn their camera on for them. But if I were to start this, we could have a conversation like this. Now, the issue with this, though, is that, again, every kid is going to be able to see me talking to them. So, again, you're not going to use this as like a one-on-one tool. But if you want to get an idea of if that student is even at the computer screen, you can click on the different cameras right here. The kids don't see this, but you would see this. The only thing the kids are going to see is your screen, the one that where you can see me. Now, in addition to seeing, I'm going to go back to, that's still Cave Student 5, but in addition to them being able to view you, you can also, at the same time as the conference, you can also share your screen at the same time. So I can share my screen, and so now all the student screens are going to get switched over to a stream of what I see on my screen. This is no different than whenever you're on Google Meet and you share your screen there, except that the camera is just going to be in a little different spot and whatnot. But now, though, the thing to keep in mind is here's Cave Student 5. Because I'm sharing my screen, now all the kids in the class can see Cave Student 5's screen. So, you know, it's just kind of something to think about. Now, I believe, nope, that toggles my video and not their video. So the kids would have to toggle their own video on there. So that's the only unfortunate thing. Now I could slide that down and get it out of the way so the kids don't see it. But, you know, they're used to seeing each other on Google Meets anyway, so it's not going to be such a huge change as far as that goes, okay? So I can use conferencing at the same time as sharing my screen. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I can also use conferencing, I believe, at the same time as I enforce a page. Maybe I go to classroom.google.com and I enforce that page. It's going to push all of their accounts to there. But they still have the Blocksi conferencing that is on. I'm just making sure I'm looking at their screens. The Blocksi conferencing is still happening on their screen. So everything is still in the same spot. So you can use these in conjunction with other things that Blocksi has to offer. Okay, so I'm going to stop enforcing that. Go back in there. Are there any questions about the dominant speaker layout of this section right here?
Any other questions? If you've got a pretty good understanding of.
Okay, I'm going to click stop that conference, and I'm going to start the tile layout. And
Sorry,
this.
Stephen, I did have a question, right?
Go ahead, Lisa.
When you have that and it's the dominant speaker, I know the little screen that you had, it just showed your face, but on their screen, they're seeing your face just in the bottom corner.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm glad it wasn't me.
Go ahead.
So they're seeing your face just in the bottom corner.
Yes.
When you do the dominant speaker layout, your
That's
face
right.
isn't taking up their whole entire screen.
No, and it kind of looks like that in the picture here, but no, it's not taking up the entire screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
the bottom right corner. It's pretty small. I mean, it's not tiny, so they can kind of see what's going on. But yeah, I don't know why it looks so much different here, but yeah, thank you for asking that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the tile layout. It's probably going to blow out the mic again, so I'm going to try to mute everything before it does that. So this is going to be the same appearance that Google Meet has. There's a lot less features here, but it is something that you can do. So the one benefit to this is the kids can raise their hand. You can see on the bottom bottom over here, this little hand waving. I'm going to do the same thing on this student's account right here. And so they have a question as well, I guess. But that's really all. Those are the only options available to you. You can mute everyone at the same time, which is nice. You know, you can toggle your own video. You can't toggle their video, I don't believe. You can share your screen here, but you can share your screen in Google Meet. This is not a replacement, I don't believe, for what Google Meet is. This is just an extra tool that would be available to you. Okay. Any questions about this before we go on to groups?
Is there a way that we can still see what they are working on while we're conferencing with them?
So, so when I open up this conference and I go to the tile layout, I'm gonna mute it again. So this is just a tab that's open. So I can always go back in and see exactly what they're doing. Now, and so they can also go back and start working. They can tab out of that, and it just opens up another page for them. So you can do that, but then of course you lose seeing their faces a little bit more clearly.
Right.
So that it opens it up as a different tab though.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions on this? Okay, moving right along. The other part, in addition to conferencing with the entire class at the same time, you do have the opportunity to conference with student groups. So there's this student groups button. Again, we kind of mentioned this morning, it's the only button on here that doesn't say what it does right next to it, but there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the student groups. And I'm given the opportunity to create or select different groups. So I'm going to create a brand new group just so you kind of get an idea of what that is. But really, it's very simple. It's going to add a text box to the right-hand side whenever I click Create New, and I can just name this New Group. And I can click Save Changes. What I don't like about this is that every time I click Save Changes, it gets rid of the box, but I'm not really done. I just needed to save it to be able to create the group. So I'm going to go back into those groups. I'm going to, let's see, it was New Group, so I can start adding students to this group. Now the problem is I have a very small class, and these kids are already in a group. So if I try to add Cave Student 5, I'm going to select their name and click Add. It's going to give me an error that says the selected student is already in a group. So I'm going to have to find where that student is, or just use the other group, and then that's what I'm going to do. So I have group, let's see, the one-on-one conferencing. So I put this student in the one-on-one conferencing group, and we'll actually start with this. If you do have a group that you want to do one-on-one conferencing with, maybe it's not, you're probably going to want to name things a lot better than I did. So, I mean, my groups are kind of all over the place. You might think about naming groups with specific students in mind. So you might name this, you know, Cave Student 5 or whatever names, you know, and just have a bunch of different groups. One of the questions earlier was how many groups can you have? I don't believe there's a limit to that. If you find that limit, let me know. But you might have a group named for each one, or you can just do the one-on-one conferencing group that is more generic and just move kids in and out as you need them. So let's say I wanted to do a one-on-one session with this student. I can start either this conference at one time, which is of course what I would want to do on a one-on-one conference, or I can select the green button on the bottom here, which is starting the breakout, all of the breakout groups at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and click the one-on-one conferencing. And when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You can see that it opens up that conferencing for that student, but I'm not in there yet. So what I have to do on the bottom right is go over and click Connect. And as soon as I click Connect, it's going to open up just like the tile layout did before. And this student will be able to toggle their video. And I'm going to turn off my mic so it doesn't mess up anything along the way. And now I can have that one-on-one conference with the student. The other kids are working the same. They're doing whatever they did before. They have no idea that I've joined a conference with this student. Okay, I can disconnect from this, and the conference will still be open, or I can just go ahead and click Stop, and the conference will close for that student. So it closes it. It puts them right back where they were working before, and they can continue to do what they were doing. Okay. Let's say I didn't want just a one-on-one conference. Actually, let me show this too. Let's say I didn't want a one-on-one conference. Let's say, but I had a few students who I didn't want to include. I can actually exclude them here and do the conference, start the video conference with this. And it will include, it will start a conference for every student that is included. So in this case, it's only the one kid that's in here. But Cave Student 2, they're working. You saw their work, but I went ahead and excluded them from this conference. Now, if I include them halfway through, then it will open it up for them. So I can also exclude them, and it'll close it right back up again. So you can kind of pop kids in and out of a whole group conference that you have going on by using the include and exclude button. Okay. All right, so going back into the groups, let's see, I have group 1, I have Cave Student 2, and then I want to put Cave Student 5 in that group also. Oh, I didn't click save.
Is it den.discovery education?
I don't know, I just Googled it.
Oh, here we go. All right, let's remove them and then click save.
Little drop down and it, oh,
It's kind of tedious, some of this.
is it quickly?
Now I can add them, and now I'm going to click save again.
I know I made an account.
All right, so now if I want to create all my breakout groups at the same time, this is probably only going to create one anyways, because so it's not going to be too much different. But
It's giving me like every break-in.
when I go to the bottom here, I can see all of the breakout groups that would have been created. So if I did have more than 2 students online at one time, it would include all the breakout groups that I've created. And by clicking on the arrow, it's going to show me all the students that are inside of that breakout group. And just like I did before, I can connect. Oh, I'm already connected to a breakout group, so I should have stopped it. Let's start it again. Okay, so this is the one. It's got the 2 students that I want to see in it. So I can click connect, and it's going to bring me right back in there. And I'm going to close it before my microphone gets mad at me. So they can have their breakout group going on, and I can go between the breakout groups as well. I don't have to be in the breakout group for them to be able to be meeting with one another. And if it's time for them to stop and they need to go do something else, I can stop one breakout group at a time, or I can stop all the breakout groups at the same time by clicking the stop button that would appear right up here. So I can do one-on-one groups, I can do small groups, I can do whole groups, I can do whole groups minus a few kids. There's really a lot of options available to you using the conferencing tool. Okay, so let me. I think I showed everything. Now, the other thing that you can do if you have different policies, and again, that's for the class that I'm going to be teaching here in about 7 minutes, but if you have different policies, you can apply different policies to these groups as you go through. The one thing that is not working for me is, funny enough, is being able to delete a group. I can't delete this group. I would love to delete this group. I don't need this group, but I can't yet. So that button's not working. But there's not much to the groups. You're going to pick your group. You're going to put the students in the same group. If they're in the wrong group, you're going to have to remove them from that other group first. So it's kind of, like I said before, it's a little bit tedious. I would rather it kind of flow a little bit more easily, that it'll remove kids from groups by themselves, but I kind of see why they made that choice. But so I'll take questions on the groups, or if there's anything on conferencing that I did not cover yet. Okay,
So I have
so
a question. I'm sorry.
please go ahead.
Okay, so I'm still kind of trying to wrap my brain around this.
Sure.
Okay, so I know with Google Meet, I mean, it seems very similar to Google Meet.
Yep.
I was hoping that the conferencing was more like where I could see their paper and I could help them with their paper as I was conferencing with them.
So you could still, that's something you still could do. So let me open up let me start the breakout rooms again. And so let's say I have these 2 students in this breakout room. I'm going to connect to this. my mic's getting mad. Okay. So what's kind of frustrating, the share screen is not there, but I can have the student share. So let's say, let me disconnect from that actually. I'm going to exclude these two students. Let's say I want to have a conference with just this one student. I'm going to start the conference and do the dominant speaker layout. Okay, it's going to start for that one student. And let's say I do want them to show their screen. I have this button over here that says share student stream to all. Well, because you've excluded everyone, the only person it's going to share with is you. So whenever I click that, you can't see it on the screen, but it gives them a button that says, would you like to share your screen? And they just click share. And now I can see everything that's on their screen while I'm doing a one-on-one conference with that student. So they can hear me. They can pull up my video if they would like to pull up my video. If they turn on their mic, let me turn on. There, I can see their video from here, so I can see everything. It's not the cleanest video. It's not horrible, but it's not the cleanest video. But I can see everything that's on their screen. They can share it from there. And that was done, and I can actually do it directly here too. If, instead of clicking on this share student stream to all, which is what I did, I can click on their button, and that share button is also located right there on the top left.
Okay.
So does that answer your question, Melissa?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. I mean, that's what I would probably want to use it for.
Sure. Okay, I'll go ahead and stop that. Anything else? Anything else that that you still have questions about? So one of the things that we are probably going to do, especially since this morning's session did not go as smoothly as we would have liked, is put together some much shorter videos on, here's the share and force button, here's exactly what it does, and instead of having to sit through 15 minutes of me chatting it up, you'll be able to see exactly what that button does with some examples and go from there. And then we'll list out every single thing that Blocksi could do. That's going to take a little bit of time for us to get done, obviously, but that is one thing, with Cami, with Blocksi, these are things that we want to invest as a district in, and we want teachers to invest their time in. And so we need our resources that we offer to you to be a lot better than what they are, instead of these, meets that happen once every once a week, but then we're cycling through stuff. So we want to make it a little bit better for everyone. So we are going to be offering those as soon as we can. As soon as we can get those built out, we'll make them available to you. But as far as the conferencing tool today, I got to hop into my more advanced session. So you're more than welcome to join me over there. But I want to make sure one more time before we leave, is there any other questions on the conferencing tool that I did not get to? Okay. Thank you guys. And if you plan on joining us, I'm gonna close up this meet, and I'm gonna hop on the other one so that we can get that recorded and all that stuff. Okay. So thank you, and if I'll either see you there or I'll see you later. All right. Bye bye.
Thanks, Stephen.